Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Friday, October the 7th, 2022. Friday, October the 7th, 2022. Well, not too much. Well, there was some pretty good scenes, but overall the show was so, but we got some kind of moments that we'll talk about. We have Abby. Of course, Abby will pick something to just brood on. Abby will nag and nag and nag. She's still adamant about she doesn't want Tucker McCall, anywhere near her family. She definitely doesn't want him near her son. She goes, who comes in and ruins the family function on a well, chances we got a lot of calls at the station about the helicopter landing there in the neighborhood. And Abby's like, see, right? Who does that? It's that kind of person. And I don't want, he could put Dom in danger, or at least I don't, or at best, he could negatively influence him. And Chance was like, don't you think you're overreacting? What do you mean, Chance? No, I'm not overreacting. I know about, the destruction he's caused. And he's like, I think you're dealing with what happened in the past. You're really letting that affect you now. She goes, Dominic is one, a little over one. There's no way Tucker could negatively influence him. And she looked at him. She goes, you have to be behind me on this. You have to be. And he goes, wait, no, I'm just saying. He's trying to be the voice of reason, right? He's like, I'm just saying. Tucker may have done things in the past. He said, but that doesn't mean people can't change. That doesn't mean they can't be good grandparents or good parents. Doesn't mean that. So she sits back. Oh, so now you're talking about my family again, are you? Oh, so in other words, all the horrible things Victor Newman has done, you don't have a problem with him being a negative influence on your son, right? You don't have that problem, Abby. Okay. So Tucker is just like, so he goes, look, Abby, I can't get involved with like that fight because Abby's trying to get him on her side so she can get, stand up and gear up against Devon, like they could double time Devon. And Chance is like, I got too much going on. I can't between keeping holding down work and holding down my family. I can't bring on nothing else like that. So she looked at him. Well, at least our family made it amongst the top two, or your family made it amongst the top two. And he looked at her. He said, let's not start that again. Let's not start that again. And she goes, well, what do you mean? And he goes, nitpicking over my words. Whether I said work and family, family work, there was nothing meant, more than just the what I said. There was nothing else to be read. I don't want to get into anything like that. And so she goes, and she's, Abby gets pouty and broody. And so he goes, oh, because first when they sat down, she goes, I'm glad you could, we could eat here, that your meeting is for another couple of hours, right? And he said, my meeting is another couple of hours. So yeah, he looked, he goes, you know what? I got to go. I got to get to that meeting. She goes, I thought you said it wasn't for another couple of hours. He said, I guess I misread the time. And he got up, kissed her on her cheek, and he was out of there. Chances like, oh no. Because truth be told, if you really look at it, to me, Chance is going through the motions. And he has been going through the motions for months, if not the whole time he's been back. He's going through the motions. Yes, he loves Abby, but he's still struggling. And actually, he had gotten better until Ray died. That kind of threw him for a loop. It really, really did. So he left her sitting there, pouty broody, right? Howdy doody. So Devon, she calls Devon, and Devon shows up over there. And the funny thing is, Abby knew not to come that way with Devon. So she's trying to probe him about, how do you feel about Tucker being back in town? How do you feel about that? And he goes, I feel fine. I'm just wondering, I mean, like, why now? You know, what is it all about? Because, we haven't really talked in a number of years. And she goes, I know, but that's what I mean. He hasn't been around, and he this, he that, and she goes, do you trust that? And he goes, well, look, it's not that I don't trust Tucker. And so she goes, what? No, I mean, do you want a relationship with him? And he goes, yes. Why wouldn't I? He's my biological father. We do not. Devon's like, we don't have no bad blood. And so she's just standing there because she's thinking, okay, I can't get in, put in a wedge if he already had a problem with his father. So he's standing there and he goes, Tucker just has a history of not telling you what he is really up to. He does. And I know that. I know he's not just here to come see me. I know that, you know. And so they haven't finished their conversation. Maybe they'll finish it on Monday, but she was definitely calm. She wasn't all jumping on Devon the way she was jumping on Chance, right? So we have Allie and Noah at the club, and Noah realizes he comped a whole lot of people. So, he's in the red. But it was opening night, first night, it still was a success. And Allie was there just to kind of talk to me. This is before she went to the lab, and just say, give him encouragement. She's really, really encouraging to him. And she goes, well, people came from far and wide to your opening. She was really talking about Audra. And he goes, I know who you're talking about. Are you talking about Audra? And he goes, that's just, that's my past. And she goes, no, something she says. And she's like, I really haven't given it another thought. And I said, well, now that was the first time you lied, Allie. I mean, the first time, because that's nothing but you've been thinking about, as you should. I would read the chick the way she put herself off to me and presented herself. You write about her, you know. So, but they're solid, they're good. Nikki shows up. But before she shows up there, I guess I could tell this part after. Nikki is like, I know I want to talk to you about, the time you spent in London. And Allie says, well, you know what? That's my cue. I'm gonna give you two some privacy. I have to get to the lab anyway. And she leaves. And Nikki, first and foremost, says, I really like, the fact that you two are getting close. Your relationship is progressing, And he goes, me too, Grandma. Me too. I'm really happy with her. So she says, no, I really want to ask you, have you heard of, there was one, I forget the other name, something, which is what the car was leased under, right? Have you heard of that? And he goes, in London, no, I really can't say that I have. She goes, well, there's another company that's under that umbrella, and it's called, I think, Wow Beauty Limited. And he goes, He goes, well, they were into a lot of, I forget what he said they were into. And she goes, so you are aware of them? He goes, yeah, I am aware. And he says, as a matter of fact, I was really made aware, and it, hit me in the face last night here, because the woman that I was involved with in London, she worked for Wow Beauty Limited, right? And Nikki said, wait, what? Yeah, she worked for the company, and she's here, showed up last night, says she has some business contract that she's working with. And Nikki looked like, huh, wow. And I can't remember if Devon, if Noah said she had business with Chancellor, because I don't know that he really picked up that she said it. She struck him so hard. All he heard was she's doing consulting work, Um, so Nikki's like, you don't say. Now, before she got to Noah, she and Victoria were talking in the office. And what is so interesting to me is these doggone Newmans, right? They are ready to use insider information to steal a company. Nikki is actually okay with it too. She goes, darling, I just have some concerns. And Vicky goes, well, yeah, it could be some sticky ramifications, some gray area ramifications, but Nate and I, we should be able to handle those just fine. And Nikki says, well, and some legal ramifications too. She goes, and we'll handle those just fine as well. And Nikki says, okay, how does your father feel about it? Dad's on board. And Nikki says, well, Donna, then honey, you got it covered. Okay. And then they were talking about, Tucker McCall coming to town at this time. And Nikki is like, something is not right with it. And not Nikki, it was Victoria saying something is not right. The timing is off. And she goes, do you think Devon told him? She goes, no, Devon is why would Devon tell Tucker that Chancellor's going public? He says, last I knew, they really had not been in communication. And Devon is more of a savvy businessman than that. And so then she goes, well, I believe he knows. And I believe he's going to be he's going to try to pull something with the IPO. And so Nikki says, well, just like you have a mole in Chancellor, Tucker could have a mole in Chancellor as well. She goes, yeah, and we gotta keep our eyes open for that. Yeah, So anyway, once Noah gave Nikki that piece of the pie, that's tying pretty much Audra to Tucker. Audra worked for Tucker. Audra knows Tucker. So Tucker absolutely positively does know that Chancellor is looking at going public. And quite frankly, Jill hired her. We don't know. Jill could have informed Tucker of her plans, For sure, Tucker is in town because of that. For sure. Yeah, I mean, Jill could have got a funny feeling with Nate, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting how it all unfolds. And what I firmly believe, I was looking at the age of Audra. Watch. She's going to end up being Tucker's daughter. Because Tucker was a playboy. Absolutely all his life. I will bet you she's related to Tucker McCall. I bet you that's a child of his, which is going to keep her in Genoa City after whatever happens with the debacle with the IPO or the situation. Because Tucker's going to be there. She's going to stay there. And she's going to be Tucker McCall's daughter. That's just my guess. That's my prediction with that. But the plot thickens, and now I know Tucker knows. I'm happy Tucker knows. Tucker has been known for doing some underhanded stuff, but my preference, and I know your preference can be different from my preference, but if anybody is going to pull an IPO coup, I'd rather it be Tucker than it be Victoria and Nate and the Newmans. Because if it's one thing I could tell you, that was Tucker's mother's company, and Tucker would give it back to his son. Ultimately, because he doesn't need it. He really doesn't need it. He would take care of his family. I firmly believe he would. So that's going to be really, really good. Now the other great part that happened was definitely, let's see, did I get, this. We have, but I think I put that picture in here. Yes, I did. I decided to make a collage because I didn't want to just do four 4 of these panels. Chelsea overhears Billy talking to Johnny. And Johnny pretty much was setting them straight. Dad, I'm serious. I'm good. You and mom did not read the playbook on how to tell their kid your kid about their bio parent. You told me. You said my wishes will be honored. I don't want to get involved with her. Are you promising me things are not going to change? And he goes, Johnny, things are absolutely not going to change in our family. This whole thing is going to be your choice and when you want to get involved. And he goes, then good. I made my choice. I'm happy with my choice. Let's put things the way they were. Let's move on. And Billy's like, okay. And he kind of made a little, sarcastic comment to his father, and he's kind of smiling there. And he goes, and please, both of you, stop trying to stuff me with food. You're trying to stuff me with food, right? And so Billy says, let me give you a ride to school. He goes, no, we're doing a school project at the park. So I have to meet, the class at the park. And he goes, okay, well, let me walk you to the park. And he's like, whoa, Dad. Oh, no. You won't be walking me to the park. Like, no, my friends can't see my daddy bringing me to the park. He goes, oh, okay. So I can't yell you, I love you to Dad. And he's looking around. And so they're laughing. He goes, Johnny, I love you. And then he just smiled at him and he walked out, right? And Chelsea steps back. And when she stepped back, I said, I know exactly what she's going to do. I know exactly. Sure enough, Johnny's at the park. He's sitting there waiting for the class, texting, trying to find out where is everybody. She walks up. Hey, Johnny. Oh, I'm surprised that I ran into you here. And he looks up at her. And she goes, but I'm actually happy that I did. And she comes and because he's actually where she's sitting at now in the top right picture, he was sitting on that bench. Soon as she put her purse down beside him, he looked at her, and as she's sitting, he picks up his backpack and immediately goes to the other side, like, oh no. And she's like, she goes, listen, I just wanted to thank you the other day for when we were at the pool and you were so nice and so patient with Connor. And he, he really respects you and he really looks up to you. And Johnny is just trying to ignore her. And then she keeps talking and and then she goes, and I was hoping that you guys could get to know each other better as cousins. And that's when he looked at her. He goes, okay, just cut it. I already know. I already know about you. I already know about Connor. Because what? He's like, this was your idea? Your idea to tell me? And she goes, well, he goes, I knew it was your idea. I knew it had, because we were all fine. And so he's like, I don't want to know you. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to have, like conversation. And so she goes, no, I just wanted, you and Connor could really spend some time. She go, and me, you and Connor, he goes, no. I'm not trying to take your place as your mom. I just want you to know that you're biological, that I've always cared for you. And he's like, okay, like, stop. See, Chelsea only has in her head what Chelsea has in her head. He could care less. He goes, so you brought up Connor. Does Connor know? I told Connor right after Victoria and Billy told you. And he goes, and how did Connor handle it? And she looked, well, oh, that well, huh? Yeah, that well. And he was like, I don't want to have nothing to do with this. As a matter of fact, and he picks up his phone and he's reading, he goes, and he looked at her, I'm in the wrong place. And he turns and he walks away from her. And Chelsea's looking like, huh? She did exactly what she was told not to do. Victoria said, if I find that you're trying to go around and ambush my child, I would never. That's exactly what she did. Exactly what she did. And he shut her down right dead in her face. She would not allow anybody to ambush Connor, right? But she sure ambushed Johnny to get what she wanted. But he put her in her place and left. So she's standing there. She actually just like, she's actually watching him and his class, right? Now, he could probably see her. He's probably trying to ignore him from where he's at, and he sees her standing there watching. So, lo and behold, remember who I said months ago, they better not be putting together. Guess who they're going to put together? We know soap opera writing. Chance is unhappy, hasn't been happy. Abby's going to push him away. Broody, 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 Abby, right? So, wow, they're going to end up together. And he goes, and she says something morbid about life and how awful it is. And, why even bother trying to make it better? And, oh, just blah, 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 blah. And he's kind of looking at her like, oh, she's a little cryptic. He doesn't know she's looking at Connor. I mean, at Johnny, right? And he goes, I'm getting ready to go have a cup of coffee. Would you like to have a cup of coffee with me? Me? Okay. So they go run into Adam as he's leaving. And he goes, Chelsea. And she goes, Adam, where's Sharon? And he goes, she's in the back. Oh, you two were here talking about me. You two were talking about, oh, she just went off. And Adam's like, wait, what? Like, what? In his mind, he goes, this is a public coffee house. And then she even looks at Chance. Oh, you wanted to get me here? You all are trying to ambush me. And Chance is looking at her like, okay, what kind of ship did you fall off of right here? She flipped the script and flipped out. And Chance is just looking at her. And Adam is looking at her because Sharon told her, Adam, I'm really concerned. She actually told Adam about their conversation. She said, Chelsea's spiraling and she's adrift. And she's looking for whatever lifeline that she can grab and hang on to. And right now she's fixated on Johnny as a lifeline. She said, but you can't use a child like that as a lifeline. She goes, as a matter of fact, she can't even use another adult as a lifeline. Chelsea needs help. She needs help. And so he goes, and she goes, and you are probably the only, he goes, I suggested she taught, and she blew up at me. So I think he goes, no, Sharon, I've been down that road with her. I've tried to tell her she needs to see someone. She's not hearing it from me. So this blow up was just like, wow, you are just short a fuse, chick. And then we get scenes from next week, which I like. She's still at the park, right? Or she goes back to the park when she leaves there, watching. And Billy comes up. Maybe Johnny texted him, because I know I would. Billy knew right where to come to find her. And he's letting her. So you decide you're gonna come here and ambush my son. That's gonna be an interesting conversation. I can't wait. And then we see Tucker sees Ashley. That's going to be interesting as well. And there was actually one other quick blurb, and I've forgotten because I didn't write those. Stay tuned for, next week on the Young and the Restless. But anyway, it's going to be good. Things are heating up. They're getting interesting. They really are. Chelsea's getting ready to do something crazy. Really, really crazy. But not before she sleeps with Chance. Not before that happens. And I'm hoping they're not going to go that way, but just the way they're having Chance react to Abby. It's gonna happen. So anyway, let's go to Comic Corner. Comic Corner, Dito says, Glow by Jabot kids were Billy, Brittany Hodges, JT, Raw was the one I forgot. I said, I'm missing somebody. It was Raw. Yes. Raw and Mackenzie. So Mackenzie Browning was Brock Reynolds' daughter. Brock is Catherine's son. Yes, 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 yes. The funny thing was, those kids, the relationships ended up mixing up a little bit later when Colleen, she was younger than all of them, and she started hanging out with them. And Dito says, I think Noah is lying about his relationship with Audra. I think they were together, but I think he manipulated details to make himself look better. I know. You're right, because he said my career took off, but Noah's career did take off in London. He was he creating a huge name for himself. Audra talked down to Allie. Yes, she did. Noah shouldn't have stood for that. He's making a lot of mistakes coming out the gate. He should rethink his whole approach to this. And Robin says, Nick and Sally need to stop. Sally needs to get over Adam before she moves on. And Annette says, be honest, really, saying, oh, Allie should have said it to Audra. I can't say that, Annette. You ain't that much, but Audra isn't that much, right? And Allie is no, that's what Audra was saying to her. You know, you ain't that much, but in that reality, Audra isn't. I could tell she's gonna be vain. It says, but Allie is pretty inside and out. She is pretty inside and out. So anyway, the Glow by Jabot kids. We had Billy and Mackenzie. Brittany Hodge and JT Hallstrom were together first. She used to ride around in JT's red convertible. I mean, Brittany was, and it was Brittany and JT. And then Colleen and Billy Abbott, Billy and Mackenzie, Brittany, JT, and then Colleen came on the scene. Raw was there. Then soon enough, a little bit later in years as they were growing, JT, because Colleen had a hard crush on JT from day one, right? JT started to fall for Colleen, and Raw and Brittany ended up getting together, but much later. As a matter of fact, the way the show history went, because Brittany came back, she and Raw got married, and she and Raw have children together. Brittany is an attorney, and Brittany has come back to represent folks in custody hearings, and I'm trying to think of who does she represent in a recent custody hearing, because she came back, and she was an excellent lawyer. Brittany was phenomenal. And JT and Mackenzie ended up getting married later in life, because Billy and Mackenzie had gotten married, and they were going to consummate the wedding, and Jill ended up bursting in and saying, you can't, Billy, you can't. That might be your cousin, because that's when the rumor had it that Jill thought that Catherine was her mother, and Catherine was Brock's mother. So that would have made them first cousins. And boy, I felt for they cried and cried, because they truly loved each other, Billy and Mackenzie. And then years later, well, it took about a year for that whole story to unwound, that Jill really was not Catherine's daughter. By then, Billy and Mackenzie had already gone their separate ways, and there was no coming back from that. But that was interesting. So that's it for Comic Corner. That's it for The Young and the Restless. I'm actually looking forward to next week's Young and the Restless. It's amazing bringing on a good actor. Trevor St. John is the best addition to the show. They haven't had this good of an addition to the show in forever. The Ashland Locke storyline couldn't come close to this, and it's the actor. Tucker's been back before, caused havoc, but right now, just the chemistry that's happening here, I'm loving it. So if you like me, give your comments. Are you loving the chemistry that's happening? Let me know. So I will see you next week for the next Young and the Restless Daily Recap.